That was lush. Oh, thanks. Hello! I'm really excited to be here and feel a bit sick. It's just a massive honour to be doing Gibber just before it goes away, because Gibber's been in. I realise I only just turned 25, and Gibber's been going 6 years, and I've known it from quite early days in the Trent. Gibber's been in my life for a quarter of my whole life. Yeah, correct response. And that's awesome, and it's seen me through a fair few things, I'll tell you that. I've just moved up the road, it's seen me, all sorts of things, and it's just always been here, and I've just been developing here, really, and it's sort of shaped who I am massively, and my friends and everyone that I know, and it's lush. Yay. So yeah, I want to share some poems with you, and then go sit down and drink. More. I'll start with this one. Because, a poet's hands are never still. They beat out the rhythm for the next best thing that comes, and it starts in the back of the brain when you try to keep in time with the ticking of the clock on the wall at the other side of the room. It's noise like rain on the roof, a storm, but you're the only one who's getting wet and the clock won't slow. What did you expect? And it builds at the beat, you build at the melody. The lyrics will come. Yes, the lyrics will come from the curve of the smile on her face, and now she's on the stage, just claiming the space as hers, the way you'd like to claim her, but she's cool like a dancer, dancing with words on the tip of that perfectly poised tongue. Make way for her. She's fierce, she's young, and your fingers twitch, you clench your fist, your body is a blur, and your heart skipping beats in your hands. Then it was still, so put pen into your grip and scroll to the paper rip. Still, to this day, you want the beat to drop on the world, and you want the words that will get the girl, and you want the beat that will drop on the world, and you want the words that will get the girl, and you want the voice that will capture the room, that will bring the rain, that will rain in the storm, that will storm the keep, that will keep the room full circle. Don't quit because it's hurting. Chaos is the only thing that's certain, and this poet won't quit till her hands fall still. Thank you. Can't drink and open my book at the same time. There we go. Okay. So this year's been really awesome for me, and I've been really grateful for lots of amazing, lush things that have happened, mainly from knowing this community. And I had an opportunity to go on a writer's course with Arvon, and was actually, I'm just going to name drop now, I was actually tutored by Ross Sutherland, a headliner for this unit. So, hi. And also last year I began this sort of the tentative free fall that is falling in love with your best friend, and that's a really strange thing to happen, and it's never happened to me before. And I wrote this in November, late November, early December, as a thank you really for his compassion when we were still just really best mates, and his patience with me and his company. And I'm glad I never read it out to anybody else, because they probably would have gone, I think you've got problems. Because it's not in any way subtle. I sent it to him in the middle of the night, in an email, and I said, okay, here's the thing. This is going to sound like a love letter or a confession. I think you know me well enough by now to know everything I ever write is a love letter or a confession. So yeah, this is just a thank you, and it's the beginning of a little trio of love poems, and then we'll move on to something not about that, I'm sure. We're playing the recognition game. We're trying to believe that black on blue could ever not instinctively remind us of a bruise, but that this could be something beautiful, like velvet against the darkening sky, and we are in a rose garden smoking, because I've still got this pathetic idea in my mind of what constitutes romance, and this is a cliche that I'm having trouble letting go of. And cigarettes will always remind me of you. There's something in that image of the fingers on lips, of the way that you look like you're going to kiss, of the smoke in your mouth and how you breathe out, of the intimacy. And in my mind, it must be how you write. where everything is a love story, buried behind metaphor and wrapped in perfect form, and best friends are forces to be reckoned with, and you can love someone a metric fuck ton because it is a quantifiable measurement, and all of the cliches that I'm letting go now of needing to be loved to feel saved, of needing to be fucked to feel in control again, of needing to break hearts to feel like I'm wanted, because I know now how much time that I've wasted being afraid of being lonely. You make loneliness a pretty thing that I can wear like a charm. You make loneliness something that I'm actually not dealing with alone. You don't tell lies to make me feel better about this hole that I've allowed to open inside me. You give me the truth wrapped like a gift because you can make it seem like the answers came to me by themselves, when you were the architect of my unexpected happiness and the author of the patience that I'm learning to take with myself, because everything, fuck it, everything is a love story. When you never really left the first novel that you ever read, when you look for poetry in the beauty and the nothingness of the everyday, when a cigarette is all that it takes to make a film noir of a night out, when you tell a girl to love herself, and for the first time she learns how. Thank you. I put tabs on the pages of my notebook where my poems were. Got all my shit together. Did I mention I'm on a writer's course for that one? I did, yeah, it was really great. And I wrote this when I was there. Yeah. How do you intro poems, right? Unless they're like about, oh, this political thing that happened and I need to fill in the context. I don't know how you intro poems. That's one thing I do not have my shit together about. So I'm just going to do this one. Because they speak for themselves, I think. It's called Portsmouth. Their wedding is in town. My dress is creasing in a duffel bag. Your suit is hanging on the one coat hanger next to a single cup capacity kettle. On a wicker two-seater, I claim your arm and your torso is my sofa back. I'm curled up like a question mark, my spine a second-hand paperback. In the morning after the wedding, like a ritual, like a rite of passage, I'm due to meet your father. We cannot bring ourselves to spoil the freshness of the bed linen. I cannot bring myself to spoil the moment by moving. And you know what? Portsmouth is a tease. It's further south than I have ever been. There's so many county lines separating me from home. I feel I'm trespassing. The ocean here is the most southern sea that I have ever faced. So after the event, would you take me north again? To the county that we housed us when we came seeking new homes, and with intact roofs when we came seeking ourselves in these aching northern towns, and when we found each other beneath our armour and our ink, before we found ourselves back in your hometown at a wedding of all things. I bring myself to spoil the moment by moving, to fill the kettle, bring the water to the boil, and you lay down upon the linen, and the day continues on. Thank you. I went to Paris last year, and I've never been abroad before that. And I went for my niece's 16th birthday. It was her idea. And you know, Paris, it's cliches in it that I thought it was beautiful and enchanting, and I'd like to go back. It started to inform a load of my poetry, and I wrote a really sad song about a couple getting divorced. I don't know why I was writing loads of divorce poems, specifically divorced. I've never been divorced, I don't know anyone who's been divorced. So I decided that I needed a Paris poem that had a love story in it, so I rewrote. I've been going back and rewriting. Will Paris keep us? If we refuse to go home, I'm learning to love quietly in the hush of the St. Genevieve Library. I'm learning not to ask for what I do not deserve. And I loved you in Paris long before I was yours. Is Paris big enough to lose me in? Will you watch me disappear down the Rue de Chanteuse, where the stones turn into beasts, and the beasts, they turn into princes? And I loved you in Paris long before I was yours. Will Paris know your name when I call it in my sleep and steal you back to me? I count the miles between the roads that we claimed as our own, and I loved you in Paris long before I was yours. Will Paris taste as smooth as fresh coffee all over again? You will find me smoking those French cigarettes soaked by that fresh Parisian rain and sucking rum from my fingers in the calm Maletti patisserie. And I loved you in Paris long before you loved me. Most of you know me anyway, and you know that I have two mums who got together in 1988, the year that Clause 28 came into being, and it was a shitty time. But they fought long and hard to both be recognised as my mothers legally, in case anything had happened to one of them. And it was a really long, drawn-out process, and I was about 8 by the time they signed us all off, and we had people would come around to the house to interview me and to see if I was doing all right and not being raised by these cult lesbian freaks who were clearly having like ritualistic devil worship sex parties with all their lesbian friends, apparently. I don't know what they thought was going on in that house, and they'd talk to me and they'd go, oh, she's really happy and normal. Fuck, they must be like ordinary people. But my mum Kate had a daughter in the 1970s, my sister, and things had been quite different in Chicken, and she'd been with this guy, and she scandalised gossip. They still talk about it to this day. She's 21 and she ran away from her husband with a woman and a tiny baby. But things were very different in 1971, and I wrote this poem about that. It's called How to Childproof a House in 1971, a practical guide for single lesbian mothers. 1. Plug socket covers. Bakelite for round-pronged plugs in houses before refurbs. Houses you will build into homes from bare bones and hope and hard work. 2. Fire guards. Metal mesh monstrosities to place before open naked flames in houses cheap without central heating. Keep your eye on that tiny child, learning to crawl and curious for anything new, because to her everything is new, and fire is the brightest and most curious of all. Then that tiny child will watch those flames lick those coals that will start a lifelong love affair with winter and the warmth of home and bonfires and red and gold. 3. Stairgates. Stairs are all ski slopes and grass hills to a child's imagination. Duvet slides and mountainsides are not friends to soft bodies that take too well to tumbling. 4. Plastic corner shields for coffee tables and kitchen cabinets where little ones reach up to grab handholds for their first walk across to Mama on the sofa. See how she puts one foot before the other. 5. Bookshelves. Pack the books along the shelves tight against each other's spines. Alphabetical would be preferable, but you just won't have the time. Squeeze them in enough for little hands to find no purchase to pull them free and hurt themselves to avoid making avalanches of the stories. 6. Ensure you have alternatives. Safe houses spread across the country in randomly assigned geographical locations. Addresses recorded nowhere but in your memory. Now, who do you really trust with this? The life of your tiny daughter. Forget those people that you once called family. You need friends at the end of phone lines, a dial away, a day's drive away, a bag packed and ready in the boot of the car that you brought back to life for this very concern, because the law is not on your side and your lifestyle is not in line with legislation. And you can lose your child in a case brought against you through spite from the man that you left behind, and you will have to move mountains to prove yourself to be more than a mother. To discredit those who say that you cannot parent, that you must be a pervert, you're against God, against state, and a threat to national security. But you were always more than a mother, you were a superhero. You were building homes out of broken houses. You were building spaceships out of car wrecks. You rewrote a happy life from what was left when the first draft was torn up, and you nurtured a child who would become my sister. How to childproof the world A practical guide for every parent. 1. Remember why you had children. The hope that soared before the fears set in. Trust that the world is changing slowly. And you, though you don't know it yet, you will live to see it celebrate this family. Thank you. Along a slightly similar theme, I guess, of me being irritated by the world. I work in a shop. You all know it's on Facebook. I work at Paper Chase. Woo! Can I get a woo for Paper Chase? Woo! You did it, suckers. So I got this lovely book. It's 25 little plastic pages. Sorry, you talked to me in the back and get them really cheap. And I've pretty much got to always work there now because it's 50% off notebooks and that's basically crack. So I'm good. So you know, if you want my good connections, yeah, make some friends. I'm so nervous, can you tell? But we sell a lot of art products, you know, a lot of notebooks, pens, you know, in lots of colours. And too often will I hear, you know, a parent will be like, oh, do you want to choose a pen to their kid? And it's pretty much always, it's usually boys. The girls don't get it quite as bad the other way round, but the boys will get told, oh no, you can't have that one, it's pink. Yeah. And obviously I'm not meant to feel things, because I'm not meant to be me, I'm just meant to be a representative of the company, so I'm not meant to have my political opinions or whatever. But I do tend to try and do a kind of a, oh, is that the one you chose? Oh, isn't that a nice, do you want to test it out? And kind of try and reinforce to the parent that they picked it themselves and that maybe it's their choice and maybe they get to choose that. But too often you kind of, and a woman really shocked me, I don't know how she expected me to react, but she brought a little green cup to the till and paid for it. It was really cute. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Is that for you? There's a little boy with her. Oh, is that for you? That's really cute. It's got frogs on it. And she said, yeah. Oh. First one he picked, it was pink. And I just kind of went, that's £2.15. Because I didn't know how to react. Because it's like, but he chose it. He chose it because it was bright. And of course, back in, obviously I was researching for this poem, and like it was like back in 1918 or something, and there was a quote about, you know, from like from a women's magazine, like a women's home magazine, about, and of course it does tend to be the colours are pink for a little boy and blue for a girl, because pink is very, very vivid and very bright, and it's a stronger colour for a young boy, and a nice pale blue for the girls. And then, what was it, QI or something, the Queen at the time dressed their kid in the wrong colour, and to avoid offending her, we all swapped. And now you've got that kind of prejudice now, when it didn't mean anything then. So it's like, what? So I wrote, anyway, yeah. And that, I have actually told people that before as well. People must hate me. Like, oh, did you know? Did you know, actually, madam? Oh, sorry. That's probably why they've invented contactless payments for really fucking annoying staff in shops like me. They just want to fucking just get out of there. So it was lecture time. So yeah. I wrote this because I don't get how you explain that to a child. At all. I just don't get it. And this is about that. I hear his father tell him, pink? It's not a boy's colour, but it is the colour of the handkerchief in his dad's pocket on the day that he married his mother, and all of their smiling faces peering out from the photos that they've got hung up in the hallway. Pink, it's not a boy's colour. But it is the colour that the sky goes over the fields where his dad was a farmhand as a kid. Red sky at night, shepherd's delight. It meant a perfect lambing weather day the following day. Pink. It's not a boy's colour. But it is the colour of the lemonade that his grandmother used to make when they'd visit by train on the Easter school break. Pink. It's not a boy's colour. But it is the colour that his mother will scrub his knees to on a Sunday after football practice with the muddy kit in the washer and fish and chips with tea. Pink. It's not a boy's colour. but it is the colour of the inside of the conch shell that he holds up to his ear as they're driving home from their summer holiday. He can hear the sea. Pink, it's not a boy's colour, but it is the colour of his tiny baby brother's tiny little toes poking out from under the duvet, and he reaches up to tickle them before his mother bundles him all back up again. Pink, it's not a boy's colour. How do you expect to explain that to him? Thank you. Very much for evening. Thank you so much for being with us.
Speaking of Paper Chase, they've got a new range in there at the minute called Wild at Heart, and basically they've got phone covers and pencil cases and notebooks and all kinds of magnificent things with big tiger faces on them. Yes. Big tiger faces with heart-shaped glasses, big tiger faces with glittery heart-shaped glasses on them. Anyway, one more time for Alix, Alexandra! Right, before you toddle off anyway, Shurston wants a word with you, so have your horses.
And now a word from our sponsors. Really quickly, lovely to see you all here. As most of you know, I'm from Apples and Snakes, and it's been my pleasure and privilege to bring headliners to Jibber Jabber for some years now. This is the penultimate Jibber Jabber. Next month is the last one, and I know it's really sad. But we obviously, in my administrative capacity, I have to put something together about how fabulous Jibber Jabber is. And what people really like is actually you to tell us what you think of it. We are joined tonight by Susie, my colleague over there from the head office in London. Give Susie a wave. She's come up from London, but it's okay. She's from Stanley, people. Oi, oi. So in the break, what we'd really dearly like to do is come around. We've got some special feedback forms. I know feedback forms are a right shitter, but if you could just spare us 2 minutes to fill them in and give us some opinions, it matters greatly when it comes to us going cap in hand to the Arts Council, and you'll be doing us a massive, massive kindness. That is all. I'll see you in the break, and yeah, with what, 15 minutes, something like that? 15 minutes, and then we're back with more. Thank you very much.